Hello, welcome back to Being in Nothingness. Alright, let's continue today, I guess. We're gonna move on to the 3-bean puzzles now, which are gonna be more difficult, I would guess. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Are we in for a surprise? Okay, let's take a look at where they are so I can go find them. I kind of like 6-bean puzzle. I want to leave that last because it's just so... It's hidden in the rest of the high difficulty puzzles. So yeah, here are 3 of them. There's a 4th one somewhere. Oh no, I beat one. I solved one, there's 3 more here, and then the last one is here. So yeah, at least 5. We'll solve these 3 first, if possible. Obviously beginning with this one because it's the closest. Alright, transmission. So here's a blue bin that controls that. Here's this. We have a bunch of buckets and that's basically it. We want to set up an alternator, but quite obviously I can't bring in even a single blue bean. And you know, similarly a bucket can't do that. Because beans inside the buckets do trigger these color sensors. So it looks like I want to produce an alternator. Obviously, it seems pretty obvious. But I can't bring any blue beans. Actually, an alternator is just going to be pretty difficult, right? Going back to the nearest level that looks like this, I think it looks to the sea. Yeah, it was also an alternator. It's not really an alternator. If you pay a bit more attention, you realize it's actually a very long, oops. It's a very long it's just a very long whatever this is. I forgot the solution to it. It's like this, right? Not really. I feel like I'm missing something here. I thought I had to put this bean here or something. Something like this, yeah. Anyway, it wasn't an alternator, it was just a very long sequence of moves that did that. I'm not sure if transmission is meant to be an alternator or not, but it seems fairly similar in idea. I need to toggle this switch. On, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on. Rather, it needs to be pressed 5 times, basically. And we can start by being pressed, but it needs to be pressed 5 times. I have 5 buckets, which is interesting. Not quite sure exactly what that's supposed to mean. How am I ever going to transfer information over, I guess, is the interesting question. Well, one way to do it is to have a bucket bring in a bean while I'm standing on this. So here, for example, a bucket can bring in a blue bean like so. And actually this works, and yeah, this works infinitely. Okay. I can just put all the beans here, and it will very slowly bring all the beans in. We will of course lose 1 bucket. But that basically means for the cost of 1 bucket, I can bring in beans here. I can also bring beans back out. And it's kind of like a one-way ticket out if the bucket wasn't there. But yeah, that looks interesting enough that I can do that. So that's how I bring beans in. Can I do this with 4 buckets? I feel like I'm gonna miss something pretty obvious. Although, there is a wall here that's very interesting. I'm wondering if it's possible to set up some sort of fake wall. Let's see if I can like sort of demonstrate this idea a bit. It's the fact that buckets trying to walk into each other, which I've pushed one earlier, kind of collide with each other like this. And so that sort of forms like a fake wall here. I wonder if that's possible using this as like an anchor. And like using this as another anchor. So the idea is I put a blue bean down to set you up as a real wall. And I sort of have a bucket kind of moving back and forth here. with a fake wall here, so another bucket here moving back and forth. Yeah, and like a third one here, and then the fourth one here. That's 4 buckets plus 1. That works. Okay, so what I'll need is... Okay. I can easily set up a bucket moving back and forth here, and that bucket will be used as like the bucket here that's blocked against the wall here. But meanwhile, I'm going to have to bring in the rest of the beans. I do like the fact that with a bean inside, this actually does function as an alternator. Sorry, an oscillator. So that's good. Meaning I can leave a bucket here safely and do the work elsewhere. But otherwise, I can also grab some beans and leave them outside. Alright, and that bucket should just do its own thing now. Okay, the difficult part is probably to set the rest of this up. But it looks like I want the 4 buckets. Sort of like... Hold on. Yeah, hold on. It's gonna be kind of difficult to set this up. I guess if I just left you outside, leave you in here. Yeah, that would work. Hold on, the difficulty is probably to set the rest of this up, I would guess. So like, I need a bucket here, here, and here. This bucket is gonna be moving back and forth, and so is this one. Actually, no, because that won't stand on this, right? They collide with each other, but this space will always be kept empty. That's not a good enough oscillator. An oscillator needs to move like this, so the length of each alternation has to be like 3 or something. So like, it moves here, it bounces back by 1, it moves here, it bounces back, it moves here, yeah. So like, with this extra bit of space, it's impossible to set up this sort of fake wall. Because fake walls only exist... like... I mean, it's also possible that maybe... like, this sort of thing happens? Yeah, so like, this is technically also an oscillator. And... I'm fairly certain that doing something like this also works. I just have to set this up right. I don't actually know if this is a good idea, but I think this works. So my idea still functions, I believe. I just need to set this up well enough. It kind of feels difficult though. Okay, I'm just gonna set you up. I guess here. No, it has to be here so you don't pick up that again. Is this good? Okay, that's a good enough balance. And here I can... Oh, they do that. Okay. I need to put the bean down there to act as a wall. I need a wall here, so I need the bucket to already exist here, and also there being... Okay. Wow. Not quite sure how I do this, because I have to be standing here? Yeah, it doesn't quite work, does it? Because now you pick this up, you send this in. And I'm not sure what I can do with you anymore. I mean, I can do this kind of thing. But that bean is now... that bean's okay. No, the bean needs to be here. So, but the problem is that if there's any space between us, then that wall just pops up. I'm not sure how to get that wall to pop down. If I do this while you're leaving, just coming back, you just pick up that bean anyway. Okay. Maybe setting these up right now wasn't the best idea. Maybe if I set these up, no. Maybe if I set these up first and I stand here to be the wall, that might work. We'll wait here. Okay, that should work fairly well. I'm a bit out of time though. I can't just walk away here. I have to wait for the bounce. I have to walk like that. But at that point in time, I can't quite shoot. So I think the bucket here can't exist yet. I need to walk across it and then push down. Okay, so before playing around with that bucket, let's go all the way back. Yeah, let's do this. Let's set you up. So this should do... no. Let's do this. Ugh. Yeah, this doesn't work either, timing-wise. Is good enough? Okay, I'd say that looks good enough. Oh, wait, no it's not. Again, timing-wise, these guys... So this doesn't work. Right, because now you guys collide here, which is bad. If you guys didn't collide at all, that would be nice, but I don't think that quite works. How would I set up the constant... I need to do this, and it'll push you. I think I'll have to wait like this, and then have you drop the bean here. Now, and then push here to instantly collide. Yeah. So this is a constant collision, which of course doesn't work, because this doesn't... I really like this idea though, but I can't seem to get it to oscillate well. And like, it's actually a legitimate wall that forms, because I can't even disrupt it or anything. I can do this to like disrupt it slightly. I'm not sure if another bucket can basically act the same way. That's interesting. Would another bucket at this point work? Yeah, this doesn't really work. Again, not exactly sure where the buckets have to be at this point. I think like extending that over here might be quite interesting. But the problem once again is that this oscillation is way too long for vertical to work out, I believe. Maybe if the oscillation was here and this was just, yeah. Maybe if the oscillation was here. So we have the 3 buckets. Well, I don't actually know how this is going to work out. I'm just going to try having a 3rd bucket here, see if there's a stable oscillation that I can form. No, hold on. No, I think you have to grab that first. I'll wait for you to put that down. Sure. I'll wait for you to come back. Put it down now. And like this? That kind of works, but again, this isn't pressed. If I waited a bit... Or if I push now, I guess? I mean, the same thing happens. This oscillation is never gonna work out. All these like fake wall oscillations assume that the bucket never actually moves. Which is bad, obviously, because we want the bucket to move back and forth here. Like, best I can do is an oscillation of... I don't know how to quantify the number of turns. Let's just kind of see. It's an oscillation that takes 1, 2, 3, 4 turns to get back to its original state. So I guess you could say I went an oscillation with a period of 4. Which generally works very well when each bucket has a distance of 2 cells to cover. So, like, what that probably means is that each module of this machine has to be a distance of 2 apart. Sorry, it has to be like a domino. So like, a distance of 2 here covered by this bucket can collide with a distance of 2 here for this bucket. This distance, the next bucket is gonna have a problem though. Because it could either be something like this. I might want the grid to show this. Yeah, it could be a distance of these 2, so they collide here. But this distance of 2 can't really transfer its information anywhere. You can't collide with a distance of 2 like this. Can you? I might need to test this out. Can you collide? No, yeah, because it needs to bounce back. It needs something above it to bounce off of, which doesn't work. So yeah, given the fact that you just need a wall, like a fake wall of some kind. The fake wall can be over water, I think, under very specific conditions. I think it could be over water like this, where a bucket moving right here and a bucket moving up here collide. That would be a stable fake wall, but it needs 2 ground cells around it, I guess. So like, I guess a fake wall like this could be valid here. But there are some rules to this. I wonder if I should define what the rules of this kind of transmission would be. Are there any longer transmissions that might work? I say longer transmissions are unlikely. Because what that basically means is that you need less buckets, which I don't think this level is trying to get me to do. I could try, but the longer the transmission, the longer each segment of like quote unquote wire needs to be. Like if it's a module of 4 by 1, then your next module has to be another 4 by 1 across solid ground, which just doesn't exist next to it. So I think it has to be 2. And like the idea is that you can extend that by either stretching the wire horizontally or in the same axis, which results in a direct orthogonal adjacency. So like a module of these two can touch a module of these two. But if it were a 90-degree bend, it would have to be diagonally adjacent. So like these two can touch these two. You can sort of form a module there. Because what would that mean would be that they would collide here. So that would be a fake wall here. But this doesn't work because you see this module over here either has another module diagonally adjacent to it, which just straight up doesn't exist over solid land, or it has to have an adjacency in the same axis, which also doesn't exist. So there must be another way. If it's a length of 3, it also doesn't work. All module lengths, I think, follow those same rules. So you have a line here. You could have another line extending it here. Third line is probably not valid. I mean, there's a 4th line that you can extend over water. That kind of works. Actually, by that point, you need 5 buckets already to extend it here, which actually would work, except for the fact that we need a bucket in the top row to even transfer beans down here. So a 5th bucket here prevents you from using this length. But I think that would be really interesting though, if that worked out. I think it actually would work out. Because then they would collide here. Oh, right, yeah, that actually means that the other way horizontal or the same axis transmission could occur is actually, you could have a space in between them. So a 2x1 can have a space in between, and then another 2x1 in the same axis. Oh, okay. Let's see if I can try and demonstrate this. I don't want to see if it's possible. Do you hear that? I think it was a vehicle that drove past. Okay, third bucket. Thank you. Actually, third bucket. Whoa. You can hold on to the bucket. Don't really need this. Okay. So the idea would be, I think, something like this. Alright, hold on to it. Drop here. We can set things up like this. So yeah, you can have 2 2x1s with a space in between. That is another way to make things work out. And in fact, this could be slightly better. But the problem is, again, the only adjacencies are either over water, even if there was space here. Oh, hold on. Okay, well, what about a length of 3 with another length of 3, with a space, and then a third length of 3? Where would the fourth length of 3 be? It would have to be a bend, but that wouldn't really work out. Yeah, you need a space in between plus another module of equal length. So that would work. A length of 3, length of 3, a blank, a length of 3. Or it could be a very long length of 6. But there's no length of 6 to bridge that gap. And I'm not quite sure you can do anything else. There might be other ways to do it, like you could have a very weird module that looks like this. This is essentially two 2x1s next to each other. This is two 1x1s with a space in between. You could also have two 1x1s that are next to each other. But 1x1 modules, we kind of figured wouldn't work, right? Because the buckets wouldn't move. We need the buckets to move, so 1x1s don't work. 1x2s have two possible options, like this or like that. 1x3s are my next possible option, and we just discovered there might be a way to make it work out. But this length of 3 here must connect to something. And I don't see any way it could connect unless there were a fake wall here, which would require a length of 3 here, which doesn't work. I'm not entirely sure if another length of 3 could work very well here. I guess it might be interesting if a length of 4 were connected to a length of 2 as well. But the way that would work is I think it would basically be two lengths of 3 next to each other at the same time. It's hard to demonstrate here, but some idea could exist like that. Yeah, the problem is it's just very hard to create any reasonable transmission wire. Length of 2. I wonder if it could be a length of 2 that were like... What kind of length of 2 could exist here? I don't know what length of 2 could exist here. Again, if this were a wall, there could be a length of 2 here touching a length of 2 here. But that would never touch this square. The next length of 2 that would be possible would be here, I guess. So you could have a length of 2 here, touching a length of 2, touching a length of 2. That wouldn't help. Also, I really wonder why is there a blue bean here? When really, if I use the bucket to transfer beans up top, this bean wouldn't have to be here. Anyway, probably not something I should be worrying about. I was thinking a length of 2 here could exist. Oh, actually, what about a length of 4 covering a length of 6? That would work if there were 3 buckets in a row, right? So here's a length of 6. Let's try setting up 3 buckets in a row here. The idea is that this is actually a length of 4 in relation to just a single bucket. This singular bucket here moves with a length of 4. A length of 4 works because that length of 4 can cross this gap into another length of 4, which uses a single bucket. And that uses 4 beans, which means that the 5th one can just be used to transfer buckets like this. Huh. Okay. And also your chain of 3 buckets here will actually, yeah. Chain of buckets here will actually be able to walk on and off this in an oscillation. So the idea is that using this bucket, I need to be able to transfer 2 beans over. Oops. Here. Here. Okay, and that bucket we can just leave alone now. Now, the one thing that I do need to have work properly though is I need to make sure the timing works. Which I think is going to be difficult because There's just not enough time in any world to do all of this. Like, I could have these three here. Have this chain. All I need to happen is I need to push. I need to walk all the way across. Yeah, I need to be here pushing this way right now. Which just won't work. I can wait for a bounce though. That gives me a bit of time. Oh, it's off. It's off by just a bit. It's off by just a bit. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to make this work out. But it's off by 1 turn. Right now you'll see that this bucket will crash. If you had bounced off a turn prior, it might have worked. But yeah, this is the longest I can have this chain exist for. If I tried to have it work out the other way, I think it basically is the exact same. It's fair, it's kind of even worse actually. So I have to go all the way to the back of this train now. So no. If I kind of had you... If I had you guys stagger... Hold on. Here's a question. If I had you guys stagger... How interesting would that be? I don't know how many turns this would be. This probably would be not a lot of turns. 1, 2, 3... Yeah, this is not going to work out. Look at the irregularity just doesn't work here. That is a successful length of 4, but now if it bounced off right here, it would just become another length of 2, which doesn't work. I can't believe we're like 1 turn off on this. This is so close. It's so close I feel like I'm just barely missing something. Too bad I can't like exert motion from here. Ah, dang it. How would I? Nothing can speed up this process. I'm taking the fewest steps possible. I'm pretty sure this just doesn't work. Well, what else could work then? A length of 4 and a length of 6 is interesting. This is the length of 4, right? How could I change this length? I mean, this could be a length of 3 and a length of 4 if I had 2 buckets stacked. Could I have 2 lengths of 3 here that bounce off each other? Maybe. And then similarly, that would also use 4 buckets. Okay, I mean, that's kind of interesting. I feel like we might just end up with the exact same issues, but... we can try that. Okay, thank you. You can go now. Yeah, this is the exact same problem. Like, it's even worse now, because this is gonna take a much shorter amount of time to complete. So, like, each oscillation here takes a very short amount of time to complete. So how am I going to set this up right? It's a length of 3 here followed by 2 lengths of 3 here that kind of bridge over each other. The problem is I have absolutely no idea how to start this up properly. It's just too fast. Okay, if a small amount is too fast, a large amount has to be a slightly better, right? The issue is that I can't make any length greater than 4 here. A length less than 4 is possible by stacking buckets, but a length more than 4 is not possible. Yeah, it's not. A length less than 4 is always doable. A length more than 4. I'm gonna have to consult a longer line, which probably can't jump over water anymore. A single length of 4 here. How, can I make another length of 4 here? The bucket stacking was so promising. I don't know if I'm just trying useless things once again or not. I don't quite see any other oscillations possible right now. It's like the walking takes too long. And this wall was very useful. This wall is super useful, by the way. And I'm sort of guessing... If I did have 4 buckets here, could I have a stable oscillation plus another oscillation inside? You know what? That might be possible. Oh no, but that uses 4 buckets. But with a 5th bean here, yeah, that might work. Although it's kind of scary how I'm gonna have that happen. There are other oscillations that might work out. No, here. Okay, you play with that yourself. The idea is we have a 2x1 here, a 2x1 here, and a 2x1 here. And this 2x1, while moving, will act as a wall for another 2x1 here that pushes back and forth. The issue is that that's going to be very difficult to achieve. Especially with how I'm seeing this working out. There's just very little time. I need to stand here and get you out of the way. So like right now, can I use this time to get this machine working? It's very slow, yeah. I'm gonna have to get this working first. And there has to be a wall here, which is why there needs to be a blue bean here. I don't really like the fact that if I did put a blue bean here normally, and then I basically can't get out once I'm in here with a blue bean here. That has to be the last thing I do, which I'm a little bit afraid of. But here I can set up a machine like this. Of course, it doesn't quite work. There needs to already be an object moving here, which again could be this bucket, as long as I do the timing right. Which is difficult, because here I need to wait for you to bounce off of me. Because if I didn't, then it just doesn't work. Okay, so hold on. I have another idea. If you just did this, can I actually stop you from... I can do that to stop you. Is that better? No, but like right now, this is like just immediately... I have to get this machine running already. The bucket basically has to be already here by this point. Which it can't be, can it? If it was, I don't know where it would be. Yeah, right now this doesn't work. Because that bucket's gonna do stuff. Oh, although, what if I pushed you outwards? Like this. I'm gonna have to time that with this bucket, but I think I can do that. Oh my goodness, wait, okay. The problem is that... Well, I would have to move basically immediately. Okay. So this has to, I think, be 3 turns ahead. Push. I don't know if I like that. We'll wait 1 turn, do this, and then walk. Timing doesn't work out because you are fast. So I have to do this earlier. Okay. Push. Wait. No, it is you're slow. Ah, you're slow. Okay, so I have to push you like several turns earlier. Like this? Kind of, but like now I'm too slow for this bucket. See, if I could be standing here, which I can't, that will work really well. But I can't get any suitable... Can't get this wall up. And if I did, I'm basically stuck here as well. This is interesting. It just barely doesn't work either. I do want to see if this works. I'm not quite sure if it actually works, by the way. You kind of need to be on the same time as you, I think. I don't actually know how this is going to work, but... You know, I just need to get this stable oscillation going to start. Which I can't. Because... Ugh. Okay, is there any other timing that would work out for me here? There might not be. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. I think the closest I got was 1 turn short. That was just the closest I ever got to a stable oscillation. Ah, that would have been such a good idea though. I really feel like I'm close. I just need to find the right set of modules to use. I don't see it. Like, realistically, we should start thinking about... Like, it can't be a 2 and a 4 here, because then they will start swapping positions, I think. And then things get very confusing. Yeah, if it's over water, it's very, very... it's a very unstable machine if it works over water. The 2 opposite sides have to have exact lengths. Or exact timings, and then they will work out. And to set up those timings is difficult in and of itself. Like, I get... I don't know how long. I don't know how I could make this longer. I can't, I don't think. Like 4 was about the maximum that would have allowed us to get. 3 with 3? No. So using the length of 3 here is technically also possible. It just doesn't work because it's even shorter, so I have even less time. The other idea with like a really long oscillator that looks like this is also nice. But once again, you don't get the... Yeah. It doesn't... It works in theory, but I think in practice it's a lot harder to make work. Oops. It's these oscillation puzzles, man. What else could happen? So... Length of 3, length of 3. No module can be over water at any point. The space between them can, but no module can be over water. I don't know what other stable oscillations exist, really. Like, there are a lot of like lengths of 3 here, because you can kind of see these 3x3 squares kind of lying around. But they can't really chain with each other very well. You kind of, yeah. Although I suppose like if you had some fake walls, you could have well, I don't actually know what you could have. I do want to know if it's possible to have... Oops, no, not like that. Like, a cycle of 2 can occupy a length of 3. Is that good enough? Is that okay? I don't know. No, it doesn't really work. This is these are working on lengths of 3 as well. This is 2 and a 3. What is this? A cycle of 3 existing in a 1x4. But these, yeah, the... I wonder what happens if you have like 2 buckets in a 1x3. How would they interact? Especially if they, you know, kinda weren't in sync. Like this, kind of? You get like, this length changes between being a 1x1 and a 1x2. Which is super unsatisfying and essentially works like... Well, it's not very consistent. I assume this would work well when combined with another set that's like symmetric to it, which would just need a lot more buckets, but like the idea is somewhat there. No, I don't think that works. I wonder if there are any other walls I can have the bucket like cling on to. Like the fake walls all have to be like in these corners. Fake wall here. 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 I don't know. I mean that looks possible, but then again, I'm pretty sure you need 5 beans for that layout to work. You could have 2 buckets here, simulating or emulating a cycle of 2, another cycle of 2, a cycle of 2 here, a gap, and a cycle of 2. But you need 5 buckets, and then you can't have anything transfer anything over. Fake wall here. Maybe. I don't know how many buckets in here you need for like a stable line and like what needs to chain here. Chaining via here is not very good actually because that I don't think ever gets to here. There's a lot of things you can do with these buckets, but yeah, if I could just put some more beans in here for free, which I can't. The problem is that if I didn't use this top row, if I use this row instead, then I can't actually make a line of 2 here. I can make a line of 2 here with a gap here, maybe. And then a line of 2 here and a line of 2 here, but that never reaches here. If I want to make a S-bend, then there must be like a free gap of 2 between the original line and the new horizontal line. Kind of yapping at this point, but you maybe or maybe not get it. If I wanted a vertical oscillation, the problem is that neither of this nor this can actually form your fake wall. So like a vertical oscillation doesn't quite work. It has to be a horizontal oscillation, I think. Fake wall here is valid, but only if it were the 2 opposite sides, I assume. I wonder if you can have like a very messed up combination of 3 here. Like you could have 2 lines here that offset each other, so that the total oscillation time for this is like 6 or something. And then you can have a third one moving back and forth here. I mean, that might be possible. I don't know how possible it is, but we could try. So like, this is a line of 4 that occasionally bounces off this. And then when it doesn't bounce off this, it bounces off this. I mean, that's interesting, but it just doesn't work. It sucks. Does this time itself? No. Does this work? No. Does this work? No. Oh yeah, every time I stand here, I try and block one. I don't know what the official oscillating time here is. It's not very good. Here I can set a... Actually, this is an oscillation length of 2, this is an oscillation length of 3, right? Eventually they will have to collide, I think. They're not colliding, but I feel like they eventually have to collide at some point. Unless, like, parity maybe. When I push and when they collide, I have to be like on the same parity. But like that's my idea. If I could have that kind of thing happen where you only have a pushing force here once every like 6 turns or something, or 12 or whatever the length here is, you could get a stable oscillation. But I kind of need to have a good enough setup to understand how that works. Like if I had you facing rightwards here right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. On a bounce back, which is a 12th turn, you'll turn to face rightwards here. So it is indeed true that a single bucket moving back and forth here takes 12 turns to walk across. Could I have an oscillation that pushes rightwards once every 12 turns? It can't be less, because if it's less, the pushing force will walk into the water. If it's more, then the pushing force from here will walk into the water. So it needs to be an oscillation such that there exists a pushing force here once every 12 turns. Oh, hold on, I also have another question here. One bucket, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns like this, right? A single bucket moving back and forth there produces a oscillation or a period of 6. If it's 2 buckets, it has to be less, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, no, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's less. It's 4 because like the distance that this bucket travels is 2, not 3. I'm not quite sure how to make it so that there exists a bounce back here that's exactly a length of... That's exactly 12 though. If it's exactly 12, it doesn't work. Because currently... each oscillation is 8. If I added one more oscillation to it, like if it were facing leftward here, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want you to turn here because it bounces off something. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Its pushing force is absolutely not there. Its pushing force needs to be this on the 12th turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If there were a blockage here, that might be interesting. Timing wise, I might actually have time to work this out as well. But I don't know what the vertical force will have to... what the vertical oscillation will have to be here. So it needs to bounce off at this point. No, it doesn't work because... yeah, I think there are 2 ways to have a bucket bounce off another bucket. There are 2 ways. I'm gonna have a bucket moving here to demonstrate those 2 ways. You either have a bucket push off another bucket, like with a fake wall set up. So here's a fake wall. Or you do it while the bucket's turning around. And like... here I feel like... if I had the shorter... if I had supporting oscillation here to support this guy, timing doesn't work out. This can only bounce off the bucket like this. It can't, like, you know, if it were here, it could bounce off the bucket that's, like, quote-unquote, bouncing off a wall here, because it collides with this. So it could bounce off at the same time when this turns around, you know? That doesn't work either. Does this have anything? Does this have anything useful? I want to know if I put a bucket in here, right? Does it actually get pushed? Yes, downwards. There must be some sort of operation for it. There must be some order of operations which determines... Yeah. I realize I can set off something somewhat similar, slightly higher up. Here. Actually, that's completely useless. It's not here. So there's no actual pushing force. This is so terrible. This is terrible. Yeah, pushing force across water is just really hard to set up. I got so close back then. I really want to get a solution out of that, but I don't think that's possible. What kind of transmission would work then? I don't know what kind of transmission would work. A line of 2, a line of 3, another line of 3, bounce back. No. Yeah, line of 6 would be so nice because then I wouldn't even need to worry about the inability to bring in a bean here. Line of 6, bouncing off another line of 6, it works so perfectly, but it doesn't. What was it? Why is it so close? Why is it so close? Is that something I'm definitely missing? I feel like there's something I'm definitely missing. Yeah, I definitely have to have this bucket here. The bucket were like here, right? No, it has to bounce on the immediate turn. Like I have to push it here to create the bounce. Hold on, what if it were... Yeah, the problem is if it weren't a train... Like, there will be more time for me to initiate this. That... What in the world is that move, by the way? It goes from one bucket to the other. This isn't really a train anymore. I can block you, by the way. I have to block you a bit more. They bounce perfectly like that. If they were blockage here, they would bounce perfectly. Actually, they wouldn't. What? Oh. They bounce perfectly with if there is something here blocking it. Could there be another bucket like moving here? No way, right? That doesn't seem right. Okay, hold on, give me that bean. I'm gonna put you back. Yeah, I need exactly 1 turn of bounce for this to work. I don't know what the timing for this is. I'm kind of just guessing at this point. This is technically a length of 10. This is technically a length of 10. This I can guess to be a length of 10. The timing doesn't work out very well once again. You have to bounce here. You have to walk away here. So bounce, walk away. No, yes, walk away. Bounce. Oh my goodness, we made it. Oh, that's your machine. It's length of 5 for some weird reason. Why? I don't know. But this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. Do you agree with me on that? That is an insane machine. But it works. Just like, I think all the math that I did trying to get here was good because like it built up to this monstrosity. But wow, this is oh my goodness. How do you find this out? How do you figure this out? And how does it only work like this? How has nothing I've ever done worked before and then this just does? Wow. Yeah, no, this is great. Obviously this doesn't feel like a 3 bean to me, but this is a 3 bean apparently, so that's cool. Oh, wow. Yeah, jeez. Thank you for the grid. Thanks to the grid for existing, by the way. I think it definitely helped a lot. Oh, wow, yeah, okay. Great puzzle. Oh my goodness. Oh, nice. Alright, well, there you go. Don't know what else to say about that. I solved it, so that's cool. Next episode, I guess we're moving on to this one. This is a tiny one. Feeding friends. I guess this might be a bit more about... I don't think this is, I don't know what kind of puzzle this would be. It's kind of puzzle that fits into a very small area. To be very mindful of all the, space constraints that will exist. Yeah, this is probably a space constraint related puzzle. So yeah, I guess I'll have to look out for that next episode. Until then though, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Bye bye.